Bitcoin is gearing up for its next major move. When is it going to happen? Well, in this video, let's find out. Hello YouTube and welcome to the Bitcoin briefing, your in-depth dive into the latest Bitcoin price action, market insights and news, all focused exclusively on Bitcoin. If you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. And with that, let's get straight into today's briefing. Bitcoin's price has been showing steady strength over the recent days. We obviously hit that all-time high at about $111,000 a couple of days ago, which was fantastic, but then did experience a recent pullback given that Trump's trade tariffs have caused an effect yet again on the market. But it's great to see that we did regain some of that ground today, as of today being May 24th. So you can see that Bitcoin's exhibiting a really strong trend to the upside, and this is given by this trend line, as you can see here. Now, it's really good to see that we've been bouncing off this trend line every so often, which shows that we're on an upward trajectory, and hopefully this gives us more room for price discovery going forwards. Now let's talk about moving average, one of the most widely used tools for identifying trends in Bitcoin's price. A moving average smooths out price data over a set period, helping us filter out any short-term noise. When Bitcoin's price is trading above the moving average, it often suggests bullish momentum. If it's below, it can signal a potential downtrend or cooling off. The longer the period, like the 200-day moving average, which is signaled here in the blue, the more significant the trend. So you can see that currently Bitcoin is trading far above the 200-day moving average, indicating most likely continued bullish momentum to the upside, which aligns with every other macro indicator we've been getting from across the market. And so on to the global M2 money supply, which is a measure of the amount of liquidity in the market and has historically been very well correlated to the Bitcoin price. So when there's a lot of liquidity in the market, Bitcoin is typically trended to the upside, and when that liquidity has come out of the market, Bitcoin's trended downwards. So you can see where we're at, and this M2 money supply has got an offset of about 81 days to give the best correlation. We can effectively say we're in the first phase of the parabolic bull run. Now, I believe that we've got much more room to go, and therefore launch us into the next phase of that bull run, hopefully ending with about 120, 130k price prediction for Bitcoin by June 2025, then onwards up to about 140k late June, July, and then onwards and upwards to about 170k by the end of summer. And just a final bit of chart analysis is the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, and it's a momentum indicator used to measure the speed and magnitude of Bitcoin's recent price changes. And in simple terms, it just helps you understand whether Bitcoin is potentially overbought or oversold, which can signal when a trend might reverse or slow down. RSI is plotted on a scale from 0 to 100, and typically RSI above 70 signals that Bitcoin's overbought, and when RSI is below the 30, then it typically is oversold. And you can see here that the RSI currently is at about 65, and therefore does indicate strong buying momentum at the moment and potentially overbuying. However, going back to our M2 money supply, in the global macro environment, it does still indicate an upward trajectory onto higher price discovery. Moving on to the overall trend of Bitcoin, and you can see that over the past couple of months, the overall trend of Bitcoin has been coming downwards, which is quite strange given that we've been hitting all-time highs, but it also just shows that the amount that people haven't woken up yet to what Bitcoin truly is. It is freedom money, it is the future. Going on to the crypto feed and greed index, you can see that we're at 66, so extreme greed, which obviously aligns with that RSI overbought and buying power momentum. Moving on to comparing Bitcoin's performance against other traditional assets such as gold and the S&P 500, the return on investment of Bitcoin, if you held it for 1 year, is 58% compared to gold, which is also doing very well this year, 43%, but the S&P 500, which is the typical assets that a lot of people invest in, is only 9%, and so on. You can see if you held it for over 14 years, which is obviously a very difficult thing to do, but HODL is always the way, 1.3 million % return. Now, the compound annual growth rate, which is a fantastic measure and shows the return of Bitcoin every year that you've held it. So if you held it for 1 year, it's obviously the same as the return on investment, 58%. If you held it for 2 years, it means you had 103% return every year. 3 years, 55%. in year 1, 55% in year 2, and 55% in year 3. Now these are fantastic returns. You're not going to get that anywhere else, and that is why Bitcoin is the future. It is protecting your purchasing power and increasing your purchasing power over time, as opposed to other traditional assets. This website is called Case Bitcoin. I urge everyone to go and have a look at this. It really helps your overall understanding and just really show that Bitcoin is number one and there is no second best, to quote Michael Saylor. Going down to the bottom, we can see Bitcoin's price on every day or every year on this day, going back right through its inception. So you can see that we're 60% up on last year's price. The 2023's price was 307% up on 2022's price. So what do we notice? It's always a very big positive. And even if Bitcoin slows down in its diminishing returns theory, which I'm not fully bought into, I can see that hitting 30%, which is still a great return. And if you use a Kager calculator, if you go on the internet and type in reverse Kager calculator and you put in very pessimistic terms, you can see the true effect of compound interest, even at 30%. And Albert Einstein, there was a famous quote, which a lot of people debate whether he said it or not, but he said the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest. And here at the Bitcoin Briefing, we really want our viewers to understand why Bitcoin is such a revolutionary technology. And there are several resources that are going to help you do this. The first one is Michael Saylor's interview with Tucker Carlson on YouTube. Now this is about an hour long, so it's not a short video, but it was the video that actually took me into the Bitcoin world. We call it orange pilling, and it was absolutely fantastic. Michael Saylor is an absolute genius at disseminating complex technical concepts into ways in which everyone can understand. He's an aerospace engineer from MIT. I'm also an aerospace engineer, so a lot of the concepts he describes are very familiar to me. However, you do not need to be in any way technical to understand what he is saying. He puts it in first principles terms. I beg you just to go and have a brief watch of that. Give it the first 10 minutes a try and see if you like it. The second one is what's the problem. This is about a 30-minute video, and it's an absolute genius bit of filmmaking from Joe Bryan. It really shows you what the actual issue is today with money. So I don't want to spoil anything, but again, really go and watch that one. That's really easy to access on YouTube. The third one is Rajat Soni, who's a really great YouTuber. He puts great content out there. It's sort of anywhere between 8 to an hour videos. And he's just been very imperative to my learning, and he always posts regular updates reflecting on the market. So go and check Rajat out. He's brilliant. Books. Bitcoin Standard is always recommended as number one. Broken Money is a bit more technical, and The Big Print by Larry Lepard has just came out a couple of months ago. I've just finished that, and I genuinely recommend that anyone who wants to start looking at Bitcoin read that first, and then go into the Bitcoin Standard, and then go into Broken Money. That's just my take, but chapters 18 onwards in the Big Print really make you see the issues and what Bitcoin solves. And finally, anyone who's interested, go and look at the white paper. Just have a read through. It's quite technical from a computational engineering point of view. However, it's always good to have a look at the original genesis of Bitcoin. And so to summarise, Bitcoin is poised to launch into the next phase of the bull run, given by this huge uptrend in M2 money supply. If this breakdown helped you understand the current setup, give the video a thumbs up. What's your Bitcoin outlook for the week? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Make sure you subscribe to the Bitcoin Briefing for more price breakdowns, news updates, technical explainers, and anything else to do with Bitcoin. And with that, guys, you've been briefed.